Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal. It's hit movies, current shows, live sports, trending bits, and timeless hits. And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free, upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Law & Order SVU streaming now.
10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence has started. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You have entered Untold Radio AM. And now broadcasting from a secret location, your hosts, Joel Sturgis and Doug Hajicek. And welcome to Untold Radio AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Doug Hajicek. We're coming at you tonight. We're blazing at you at a very, very balmy, 20 below zero? I don't know what it is anymore. It's just cold. And tonight we got the great Todd Neiss on the show. We're going to be talking a lot about Bigfoot, his encounters, his research. You're going to want to stick around that bottom of the hour. He's definitely an interesting guy. If you've never heard a Todd Neiss interview, you're going to want to stick around for this because he's got a lot to say. That and he's seen Bigfoot more than once in his life. I mean, we're blessed to see it once, but he's seen him more than once. So that'll be, again, bottom of the hour. Doug, how are you doing?
Good.
Giggly. Aren't we all just a little giggly?
Just kind of giggly. I don't know.
A little giddy.
Giddy. Cabin fever. Giggly.
Oh my God, cabin fever is definitely set in. I am so ready for spring.
How come every time I get on the radio show, somebody is ringing the doorbell?
Because you're popular.
No, I'm not popular.
They're visiting the compound.
I swear to God, they know Wednesday night, ring that doorbell at 7 o'clock.
Ring that doorbell and die.
Oh my God.
Kind of thing. You know,
the last guy that did it was beating on the door. He was ringing and beating.
Oh my God, he meant business.
Oh yeah. Beating and ringing.
Screaming while he's at it.
Oh my gosh. But
shouting to the heavens.
I'm getting cabin fever, some horrible. In fact, I'm getting cabin fever so bad I'm going to head north where it's colder on Friday.
That's a horrible idea. Why would you want to go north where it's colder?
Because my daughter wants to take a daddy-daughter trip.
Oh, well, that'll be good.
Just me and her are going to head up north. She wants to go to Ely.
Oh, well, I can think of a lot worse places to go. Ely's always a fun time.
Yeah.
So, hit up Ely, do a little shopping, say hi to a few folks.
Yeah. Shopping.
Be a good time.
Have you seen some of the... the products she's going to want, right?
Oh, you can't.
Mucklucks.
Exactly. You can't go to Ely and not look at at least look at the mucklucks.
Oh, no. She'll give me the look.
The look? It sounds like you're very familiar with this look.
The look of poor me.
Okay. Well, I know that look. I have a daughter as well that employs that look, and she's only 7.
Yep. Then we'll go to Wintergreen.
Oh,
find some nice parka for 3, 4.
Bring some money, Doug. Bring some money.
Yeah. Anyhow, good kid.
It'll be a good time.
Yep.
You can hang out in Ely. Are you gonna go see Lynn Rogers while you're there, Dr. Lynn?
Yes.
Good.
I'm going to go to the Bear Center and get a tour of what they've been doing.
Give them my best when you see them. Give every one of the listeners their best as well.
I will. But anyhow, so I just hit 800 friends on Facebook today.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, that's an accomplishment.
800.
I mean, I remember when you started with, one? Me.
Yeah, you.
One guy.
No,
one guy.
Actually, I think it was Adam.
Well, maybe he was.
You were number 2.
Oh, I was that's a running theme in my life, the whole number 2 thing.
So, but today I get a request. I swear to God, this is true. I get it, when you get these things, accept these invites to these
Yes.
Groups. So this group is called How to Summon UFOs. And I read this and I'm thinking, nope, 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 nope.
No, you don't want to learn how to summon our intergalactic cousins?
No, I don't. I don't want to summon anything. Just the word summon is bad.
So, of course, by what you're saying, you denied the group. You did not join the group.
Well, I didn't even have the heart to hit decline. I just went, no.
Just left it there for a minute.
That's how my day started
simmer.
out.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Those groups are funny because, I've seen a lot of groups and I'm part of a lot of strange groups, and I don't know how. Once upon a time, they could add you into a group without your consent.
Oh.
So it was just add to group, add to group, add to group. So I ended up being part of like 900 groups. I have no idea how I made it into these groups with people I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
So it was quite strange. Like
things like
lesbian serial killers that want to adopt.
Yeah.
Strange groups.
People who wear panda costumes.
Yeah. The Furbies, the fur people. They want me to join, and hey, no knock against them. I just didn't feel like joining. Just really not my scene.
All I know is it's okay to see a UFO. You figure, well, you're lucky.
Yeah.
I don't want to summons them.
You don't want to bring them You don't want to bring them to the compound.
Not to the front door, and I certainly don't want them with my phone number.
Are you afraid that the aliens will, I don't know, prank call you if they have your phone number?
Well, let's put it this way. Some guy, swear to God, sent me a script to review for a TV series called The Probe.
The Probe.
Or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little too on the nose if it's going to be a...
Yeah. Oh, no, it's just
alien.
called Probe, period.
Oh.
Just Probe.
Oh.
Yep.
And was the script worth your time?
Well, I don't know. I haven't read this.
Oh, you haven't read the script yet?
No, I said this just came in. And then
just came in.
And then this how to summon UFOs. So, yeah, it's bad timing.
I think there's a guy out there, unless I'm mistaken, Dr. Stephen Greer claims that he can summons UFOs.
Yep. They call that, CE4, I believe?
Yeah, and I don't know if I'd want to either be summoning the UFOs.
Oh, I know. Never mind. Okay, CE4 is when you mind to speak. What? Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, I don't know. You hear voices in your head and you go, that must
Doug, there's a condition where you hear voices in your head too. And they're not aliens.
Oh, I know. Yep.
And
anyhow, we're living a strange time.
You have had a strange day.
No, but okay. So then I'm at a meeting about, oh God, I can't even say it. It's so weird. So I'm on a meeting. We're planning on doing live cams on Untold Radio. Mm-hmm. I'm working on setting up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cameras that are in really cool locations in the middle of nowhere. One may be on a herd of cattle that are literally getting mutilated on a regular basis. Another might be in the forest where they've had numerous Bigfoot sightings, on and on. You got the idea.
I do. It'll be a lot of fun.
So I'm on this meeting, and I'm on the phone, and I'm looking at my floor going, damn, I have to clean my floor. So I'm thinking, might as well do it while I'm on the phone. So I'm on my hands and knees. Oh, and I'm thinking it's a good time to eat oatmeal.
It's a good time to eat oatmeal and clean my floor.
Yeah, well, no, one or the other, but both.
Okay, you weren't doing both. You weren't on the floor.
Well, I'm cooking the oatmeal in the microwave while I'm on my knees cleaning the floor with, paper towels or whatever. And I'm on the phone on this business call. Right?
Wow.
So my dinger goes off in the microwave. I barely, when you get on the floor at our age.
Yes. Our age, speak for yourself.
It's kind of permanent, it's hard to get back up. Anyhow, I'm just kidding. I just spring right up.
You do. You're if no one's ever met you, You're about as spry as a teenage boy. I mean, you just pop up. You pop up like a prom night pimple, man. Nothing keeps you down.
Right in your forehead. Anyhow, so I'm cleaning the floor. I'm on this business call. Then I start kind of grunting. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't want these people to think, Anyhow,
whatever.
So I better tell them what I'm doing. Because I'm honest. I say, oh, by the way, I'm cleaning my floor on my hands and knees. If you hear, me breathing hard, that's what I'm doing.
And I'm cooking the oatmeal, too.
And I'm cooking oatmeal,
just to let you know.
which I'm going to be eating right after I get done cleaning the
floor. Heart-healthy oatmeal.
Yes. Anyhow, speaking of 12, okay, you want to know something else I did that was really dumb this week?
Wow.
I did revisit my 12-year-old self, and I decided in my man cave to set up one of these big, giant slot car tracks.
Yes.
And I did.
And you did it.
And I was in there with a buddy of mine, and we're racing these, 3-4-inch electric cars. I looked at him. I'm like, dude, we're like 12 years old doing this. He goes,
great time.
Keep racing. Let's have another. Yeah. So we raced for like 4 or 5 hours.
Was this in the middle of the night that this idea came to you, or was it?
No. I had to order everything. I didn't have
Oh, you didn't have it on hand.
Oh, no. And you remember when we were kids, a slot car set would be like $10, $12 more.
Yeah.
Oh my God, $500.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my good Lord.
Good Lord is right.
Prices have gone up.
Yeah, it's the cost of a small motorcycle.
Have you ever noticed that all the retro toys, though, the stuff we grew up with, when you decide you want to get them again, you go to buy them, and it's like they're banking on the nostalgia that you're going to want it.
Oh, yeah.
So they have them made in China, number one, by the cheapest laborers money can buy.
Counterfeits, I'm sure.
I'm sure of that. And so you buy it, you get it. And do you ever play with something and you say to yourself, why did I ever like this?
Yeah, and everything's much smaller than you remember it.
Yes.
It's smaller.
Yeah. Yep. And that's probably because we were really small when we played with them.
Yep. But yeah, I think we talked about dangerous toys.
We did. But lawn darts were the king.
Yeah.
Lawn darts, we decided when we were talking about it.
I still think I got more trouble with my Whammo air gun.
That was on the list too.
That you could put one of those jarts in.
Yes. But you'd modify it. The way you'd say it, you would modify it to make it more deadly.
No. Back when I was a kid, they didn't have the guard on. It was an open front.
Oh, it was.
You're thinking your era. That's when they had that's after like 20 people already got probably taken out. Then they put the guard on. No.
Oh, so you had the freestyle. You had the open one, the one that was, no safeguards at all.
Freestyle. You could put rocks in there. You could. Oh my God! You could put.
It was a blunderbuss, is what it was, really. I mean, you load it with whatever you had around.
Yes, it was exactly that. You could just put any kind of whatever you wanted, shrapnel in there.
It didn't matter.
Back and a boof.
What was your favorite ammo? What was your favorite thing to load it with?
I still think pencils.
Yeah? Well, they had that aerodynamic quality to them.
Do not try that at home. Oh, my goodness.
No, you'll kill somebody. know. And then there'll be a lawsuit, and next thing you know, all sorts of trouble will happen.
I swear to God, I have a memory, Joel, of me having like a little injection press that would get 500 degrees.
What? An extrusion machine that you would...
Well, I know I had a vacuum form machine. I know I had that. Remember those vacuum form?
I do. I don't even know if you can get them anymore.
You put a piece of thin plastic and then it would droop and then you knew it was ready and you'd flip it over, then pump air and it would vacuum form over whatever.
Yep.
So I had one of those and that was, that only got up to 400 degrees. So
that's all.
That was safe.
Nothing.
And then I swear to God, I had some kind of goofy toy that would inject plastic.
What?
I don't.
So it would you could, with a mold.
Yes.
If I'm hearing you correctly, you could make your own
injection
toy with the mold. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Supplied some
I am sure that was the safest thing on the market at the time. Gosh, I only wonder what they made that plastic out of.
Nothing like molten plastic on your hand.
No, a lot of burning going on.
Yeah.
A lot of burning going on. Yeah, when I grew up in the... I was born in the 70s, so it was the 80s is when I started getting those kinds of toys. And by then, every parent group in the world had already safetyized everything. So there was not a lot of fun left to be had.
Okay, back up. Is that a word? Safetyized?
I just coined it. Safetyized. It's safer now because...
I like the word. Don't get me wrong. I like it. I love it.
You can borrow it.
It should be a word.
It probably is not a word, but we're going to pretend it is.
Yeah, it's kind of a Sturgis thing.
It's a Sturgisism. is what it is. I come up with them once in a while. Just make up a word that fits the moment.
Safetyized.
Safetyized. Meaning that it's neutered. It's been turned into something that it was never meant to be turned into. Something so safe, even your mother approves.
Yep.
That was horrible.
So anyhow, I wasn't done with my floor cleaning story.
Continue.
So I'm on the phone. This is kind of actually was a pretty important call. And I stand up and I smacked my head on the counter. Then I went to grab the counter and I spilled my oatmeal. Oh. Then I had to redo the whole floor again.
We have all been there. But I
didn't spill all my oatmeal, only some of it.
So there's enough to eat.
There was plenty. Yeah.
Enough for you to have breakfast.
Yep.
Well, that's a good story. Yeah. Yeah. Compelling and rich.
It's not a good story.
Yeah. Do you ever like in the kitchen and you bend down to get whatever in the drawer and you stand up really quick and you hit your head on the cupboard that's open?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And do you ever question that maybe you just lost at life there? Like life won, you nothing. Like it just keeps little things like that.
Yeah.
To just kind of do that. Yeah, that happens to me quite a bit.
Stubbing your toe to me is the worst thing you can do. Where those really hard ones that you're just your foot's moving like a Bigfoot, going into the forest. It's just wham, and you feel like there's no way my little toe is still there. There's no
way. I've broken my little toe.
Can't be.
On trip, I'm just stubbing my toe, especially in the middle of the night on the edge of the bed. You come around after you've been up in the middle of the night, have to go to a can or something. You come back, you're walking by, wham, and you hit it.
And then you step on a Lego.
Then you'll step on a Lego, and if fate really has your number, then you step on a Hot Wheels car. You did the trifecta. The stub, step. And then you fall into bed and you cry.
I've got, 6 kids. I think I've done the trifecta.
Oh, I'm sure you have multiple times. Well, okay. Hey, we got this. Yeah.
No, go ahead. No, it's only 7:17.
Well, it is only 7:17.
We're good.
You're right. We have all sorts of time.
All right.
Keep telling your tales.
I had one more toe story.
Oh, you did?
Damaged toe story.
Okay. I love to hear about damaged toes.
Yeah, I know. Anyhow, I was building a deck, right? And you got to use that Sasquatch.
Yep.
And you pour it in the hole after you put your pole in.
Yep.
Well, I had an extra bag left over. So I left it out in the rain.
Oh, no.
And they're heavy. I didn't want to carry it in. So I left it out there. And it was out there for a good week and a half. Numerous rainstorms. So I'm thinking, finally, I got to bring that in the garage and maybe dump it in the garbage or whatever. Oh, my God, that thing was heavy. So I'm carrying it, no problem. And I'm carrying it about 2 hands. And I've got it about 2 feet above the ground. And all of a sudden, paper gives way.
No.
And now remember what's inside.
Yes.
Pounds with a chiseled edge.
Yeah, because it's already got wet and then hardened.
In the bag that's got a point on it.
Yes.
So the solid block of concrete with this razor sharp point is now heading for my toes. With a shoe on. I've got a shoe on.
Did you have that split second moment while it was happening where you're like,
whole
man, this sucks?
Right there. My whole life flashed. Each toe had his little life flash before his eyes.
Did they scrunch in a little bit, trying to avoid the collision?
And I'm already starting to scream before it hits.
Oh, you just know what's coming.
Oh yeah, and I think I probably have a pair of cowboy boots on or something.
Yeah.
And it hit, and of course I'm on concrete when it hit. So we got
good
below the toes, concrete above. And it chiseled concrete above.
Yes.
And it hits. And I am positive all my toes are now amputated.
Concrete sandwich happens.
But I'm going to take my boot off and pour my toes out. It hit hard. Off. And I'm serious. I am 100% sure. I'm just going to pour loosen my sock. You know. Because there's no way they could still be connected.
No, they can't be. Not with that kind of hit. With a chiseled edge. No way. Cut right off.
They were damaged. Oh, there was plenty.
Oh, I bet they were damaged. Black and blue happened.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. But they were all there. That's my toe story.
Oh, I hate that when you stub your toe or something. You're wearing a shoe and you just can feel the blood.
Yep.
You know, like, oh, I don't want to take this off. And then you do it. It's like something from a horror flick.
The other one is you're sitting in front of the TV and you're eating chili or something. You know, something that's already kind of marginal, like what's in there. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Like, from a fast food chain.
The questionable chili.
Yeah, you're not really sure what some worker threw in there.
Yeah, the Tijuana treat. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just watching your whatever favorite program, and then the toenail fungus commercial comes up.
Oh, yeah. You know what's even worse than all of that? I shouldn't say worse because the toe thing is pretty bad, and that's a maiming moment right there where you feel like you've been maimed. Have you ever been in a really dry environment and you just know when you touch this piece of electronic, it is going to zap the living hell out of you?
Oh, yeah. You're not.
And you just know.
Okay, I got one for you. How about a neon sign? Do you have any idea the transformer on a neon sign puts out like? Oh,
I bet the ballast in that thing just.
Oh, it does. It puts out like 3 million volts. So look it up, Google it. It's incredible, and it's also fairly high amperage. Not enough maybe to kill you, but it's high. It's enough to lock your body up instantly.
Oh yeah, it's like getting hit with a taser.
Anybody who's near you. And I literally got zapped with that. I could not move, and my jaw clenched shut. And I don't think I could actually move any of my muscles for maybe an hour.
Oh, my God. Really?
I couldn't walk right or anything.
Yeah, I've had my go around electricity. It is not fun.
Yeah, 110, 220, even 220. I've survived that one even. No problem. 3-phase 220.
Yeah, but it's rough. I mean, I've gotten zapped pretty good before. And I got zapped so bad one time I flew across the room.
Yeah, well, that was my neon sign thing.
Yeah. When it gets you, it gets you. So anyhow, getting back to what you're talking about, potentially we might have cameras on.
Oh yes,
the Untold Radio website.
I'm working on it. I'm getting I'm up to 3 are lined up, and I worked on a really major big one today.
Oh, cool. Yep. I cannot wait to see what all your hard work brings to the table as far as those cameras go. That'll be really, really cool. And I'm sure a lot of listeners love to watch it too.
Yeah.
In fact, I know they will. And we got another little thing going on this June. So we got a charity event going on, and Doug's gonna be part of it, doing an ATV ride for Minnesota Care Partners. Yep. And so if you're in the area, it'll be the 12th, June 12th. We're going to be going on about 60-mile round trip, 4-wheeler trip. It'll be a lot of fun. And if you want to be a part of that, just look it up on Facebook. You can look up for the Jim Sturgis Memorial ATV Fun Run. And if you want to be a part of that, all you have to do is register. And there'll be a small donation fee for each rider. We do plan to have a raffle and auction and just a whole day of fun and raising money for a worthy cause. So if you're looking for something to do this summer and you haven't really kind of figured out what to do, come join me and Doug, and we are going to be doing some four-wheeling. And if you own a four-wheeler, and heck, even if you don't own a four-wheeler, you can still come out and have a good time. So, again, June 12th.
And this trail is what trail, Joel?
This trail is what they call the Hawk Trail. It's an old snowmobile trail that they made into general use. So it is still a snowmobile trail, but now it's a general use trail.
The Hawk Trail.
The Hawk Trail.
And where do you start the Hawk Trail?
In Gilbert at the OHB Park.
Ah.
And so we will be driving through the OHB Park, and you can see scenic northern Minnesota on the seat of a four-wheeler. And it gives a whole new sense of scenery when you're on a machine like that, where you're open air and you're driving down the trail. You get to see a lot of things that you'll never get to see in a car.
Yep.
And bald eagles is a pretty common occurrence on this trip. Lots of them. You get to see a lot of different animals. We've seen deer. We've seen moose. We've seen a lot of different wildlife on the trip that makes it always fun.
Yeah, there's wolves up there.
Yeah. We've seen it all.
A lot of moose.
We did. The funniest one was a porcupine. Of all the things that we've seen on this trail, was a poor porcupine that decided it was going to run in front of the four-wheelers with us. Like he was the lead for quite a while. And those little things, they can move.
It's number 2 for me.
You got another call, didn't you? Look at you go. Look at you go. Tell them, hey, I'm hosting a radio show. Tell them I'm hosting a radio show, so don't call.
My goodness. Yeah, but it's my fault. I didn't turn it off.
Well, you know.
I was so good for so long.
You were, because you were even giving me crap about it. Now I'm turning it off. And now I'm on silent, and you're the one making all the racket.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, it'll be okay, maybe. And then we're just going to have to give you crap about it. That's all. But if you've never met Doug before and you're a big fan of MonsterQuest, this is your time to meet Doug and hang on a minute. And if you got a couple questions for him, he's always happy to answer those. But mainly it's for a good cause, and we're going to have a good time. Doug, what you got going on the cameras, I am very excited about it because it's got a whole new dimension. Not only the website, but of the show.
Well, these will be cameras that will be in very remote areas. Not next to somebody's house. They'll be out in the forest. Because one of the things that I've accomplished is to build these small, remote, solar-powered little camera systems that aren't little. They're actually quite big, but they work.
Yeah, and so the sun charges them. So really, they're kind of, no human being has to really manipulate a whole lot with them.
No, you need a lot of 12-volt batteries, which can be far away from the camera. So basically, you have to build a small TV station, but it can be 1,000 feet from the camera.
Oh, so it doesn't have to be anywhere near. As long as the cables reach it, you're good.
Yeah. So we'll see. Well, we're working on it, and maybe within a month and a half, we'll have up to 4 cameras up.
That'd be cool.
Yep.
That would be cool. And I think you guys would be really excited about the locations where Doug is putting these. And again, we can't thank you guys enough for listening each and every week. I had a lot of positive feedback about the show, Doug. So really happy about that. And thank you guys. You guys are the ones that make this thing go. Well, and Doug. Doug is the largest part of it.
And you.
Well,
and
occasionally me.
My phone going.
Your phone, your phone, and and I know that you're kind of.
People can do shots when they hear one of our phones ring. They have to.
They can. It could be a whole drinking game.
Yeah, it could be a drinking game.
It can be the cell phone tequila shooter game.
I swear to God, I had this all planned. I was going to blame you if my phone ever went off again. I was just going to blame you.
You're going to blame me?
Just keep denying. Just keep denying it. You're
going to blame me.
Yeah, I'm going to blame you.
Horrible about that. Yeah. I don't know how to feel about that, Doug. I really don't. You're going to blame me, I tell you. Yeah. Everybody, well, I shouldn't say everyone loves me. I think most people at least tolerate me.
Yeah.
I use that pretty generously. They tolerate me. But my phone is
you
on
have
silent.
to get that tiger blanket out of your studio.
That is my homage to the Tiger King.
I know, but I have to look at it.
It's a beautiful blanket. It doesn't it just scream wild to you? Don't you feel like you're in the Serengeti?
Okay, you're gonna be gone. You're gonna be gone Friday, right? I might sneak into your house and get it.
Don't be stealing my blanket. We're gonna run a break. When we come back, we have Todd Neiss. He'll be joining us. We talk all things Bigfoot. You're gonna love it. Be right back.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on.
Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy is suspected of having killed as many as 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series that investigates the crimes that shocked the nation.
The thing everybody thought they knew wasn't the whole story.
John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now. Devil in Disguise. Only on Peacock. Whatever you're funny, Peacock's got it exclusively. Bears beats The Office on Peacock. Stream every moment from Dunder Mifflin and explore bonus extras and exclusives. Plus, if you're looking for more classic hits, you can stream every episode of Parks and Recreation, 2.5 Men, and every season of SNL. In the mood for something brand new? Check out Peacock's original comedies, The Amber Ruffin Show, and Saved by the Bell. Whether you're craving a new binge or familiar fave, you can find tons of comedy hits on Peacock. Get started for free at peacocktv.com.
For you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
welcome back to Untold Radio AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Doug Hajicek, and tonight we are interviewing Mr. Todd Neiss. Sorry about that. I had one of those sneezes that got stuck. I'm like, uh-oh, I'm going to sneeze, so I'll just keep going here. Bigfoot witness turned researcher Todd M. Neiss has been an active investigator for over 27 years. Born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, he grew up hearing of these legendary creatures, alternately known as Bigfoot or Sasquatch. There it goes, it's passed. Gave it little credibility beyond that of a good old-fashioned campfire tale. He's designed to frighten young campers. All of that changed for Todd in the spring of 1993, and I do apologize. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that, folks.
I could have dubbed in a sneeze.
I know. I know. It was just right there, and it was distracting the living heck out of me. Gotta love live radio. Todd, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's an honor.
No, we're glad to have you. You know, it's what's more interesting than a lot of things is me and Todd have never met. We had never talked, and yet I had heard his name for 30 years.
Yeah.
Just kept hearing Todd's name come up, but for some reason, we never connected.
Really?
Is that true?
Isn't that funny how that works sometimes, though, is you don't ever meet the person, but you hear about all their work precedes them. And then when you meet them, you're blown away by, just how great they are. I mean, and I'm sure that's the case of Todd and the dedication they have, though, to the research. Like in Todd's case, I mean, 28 years of research. I mean, that's saying something.
How did you get interested, Todd? Tell us where it started, the interest in the topic.
Well, like you mentioned in your opening, I was a very, very much a skeptic, although, again, being born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, you can't help but hear the stories, the legends, but I really hadn't put any faith in it, having been a hunter and a hiker and fisherman all these years and spending quite a bit of time outdoors. Never seen anything that would convince me that these creatures or people perhaps existed.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until April 3rd, 1993, a Saturday, when I was conducting explosives training with the Oregon Army National Guard. This is in the Coast Range, the northern Coast Range of Oregon. This is the temperate rainforest, so there's a lot of cover. It's a very much more heavily vegetated than, say, the Cascades where I live now. But we've gone up there with the 1249th Combat Engineers. Our job was to train at 3 different demolition sites. We had special permission by the landowners, timber company, to utilize their gravel quarries, which they had spread out through their land, and do our trade, which was demolition. And we're not talking firecrackers. We're talking, in some cases, hundreds of pounds of ammonium nitrate or plastic explosives. And this particular day, we had these 3 sites. One was cutting charges, where we would cut steel I-beams in half with C4. Second one was a mock minefield, where we would practice blasting a path through a minefield. And the final one was a cratering charge, which was designed to basically blow a road in half, if you will, and deny the enemy use of that avenue of egress.
Sure.
It was just after lighting the fuses at that third site where we our SOP was, get to the rigs, get the hell out of there. I think we had 11 minutes on the fuses. And 4 vehicles. I was in the second. The first 2 were Humvees. The third vehicle was a covered deuce and a half, 2.5 ton truck. The final vehicle bringing up the rear was the commander's Humvee. I was a passenger, so I had the liberty of being able to, take my eyes off the road. And this is a windy gravel, logging road. And it was just an incredibly beautiful day for April, especially in the Coast Range. And I had the window canvas unzipped and was doing what I just naturally did when I'm out there. And I was looking around the countryside for, deer, elk, whatever I could see. And it was as we were taking a very shallow right-hand turn, we came out into this opening where we had a direct line of view of the previous blast site, the second blast site. And what I saw were these 3 very dark figures standing side by side out in the open in this light gray basalt, almost kind of a concrete color quarry. And the contrast was very, very good between, these almost, I still don't know whether they were black or very dark brown, but very dark just the same. And my initial thought was, what the heck are these people doing down there when we've got live explosives going on? Because our standard operating procedure was to keep everybody accounted for in one group if possible. But yet here were these 3 figures down there, and I hardly got that thought out of my mind. It was like, what are these people doing there, when I just kind of stopped cold and went, what are these?
Yeah.
Because they weren't human by any stretch of the imagination. Not just their size, but their physique was unlike any human, short of Arnold Schwarzenegger. They really looked like bodybuilders. We were talking head sitting almost squarely on the shoulders where the trapezoids just blend into the shoulders. No real neck to speak of.
They weren't moving. They were just standing there, Todd.
No, in fact, they were moving, and I'll get to that in a second. But I'm just in describing their body, their silhouette. They were all 3 facing us. The one in the middle taller than the 2 left and right of it. And they were watching us. But as I'm looking at them, I'm looking at these huge barrel-chested with a very discernible taper from the chest down to the waist. That what struck me was these arms that went well below their knees. And these legs that also seemed much longer than ours. But no, what struck me in terms of movement is that while that one in the middle stood there like a statue, the 2 that flanked it left and right were shifting weight from foot to foot, rocking side to side, and in the process, these enormously long arms were swaying back and forth below their knees. And, by that point, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I watched these 3 figures, and the entire time I watched them, which was about 25 seconds, which, it doesn't sound like a long time, but look at your watch for 25 seconds. It's a lifetime, and that became an epiphany for me. It was a total a miracle, if you will.
Yeah, it changed everything you knew, I'm sure, what you thought about these things.
Well, what gets me, Doug, is this whole how 25 seconds of my entire adult life, and at that time I was 34 years old, a sergeant in the Army, and how 25 seconds has changed the next 27 plus years of my life. And I just, it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing to see them. It's like winning the lottery, but at the same token, it's a curse because you'll never be satisfied without, recreating that situation, or at least, I don't need to validate it. I can't unsee what I saw that day.
Yeah.
But it has just driven me, and everything since that time has been, it pretty much revolved around that sighting.
Were you close?
I'd just like to follow up real quick. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, were you close enough to see their eyes and their face? I mean, they were facing you.
I was not close enough to make that happen, or their genitalia, if you will. I've gone back on Google Earth, and I've been able to identify the stretch of road where I saw them from to where they were standing, and it's about 700 feet. Now, it might seem like a long distance, but under clear skies with the backdrop behind them and the operation that was going on, well, let's put it this way. We target shoot with our M16s or M4s at 300 yards. So we're talking 900 feet. And without any corrective lenses, I hit the 300-yard targets easily. And these are like half silhouette human targets on what we call a morph range. And so, I've got very good eyesight. And no, I'm kind of glad we weren't a whole lot closer, but like I said, it was a life changer. But if I can follow up real quick, because there's another important aspect to this.
Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy is suspected of having killed as many as 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series that investigates the crimes that shocked the nation.
The thing everybody thought they knew wasn't the whole story.
John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now. Devil in Disguise. Only on Peacock.
Are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP loan. You may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. The program ends soon and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply. That's WOMPLY.com/apply.
Deciding, and that is that when we arrived finally down at the safety staging area, my first instinct was to jump out of the Humvee and jog back up the road to try to get another view of them. And I in short order, realized that I would be violating protocol by being out of sight when we're all supposed to be accounted for. I got as far as I could, and I'm, standing on my tiptoes. I got my hand up to my forehead, straining to see anything I can. And unfortunately, I couldn't see over this berm that was between me and them, but somebody took notice of it and came walking up my way, and I heard them yell out my name. Said, "Hey, Neiss." And I looked over and answered yes, and here comes Sergeant Martin. He's smoking on a cigarette and keeps coming up to me, and he says, "What are you looking at?" And I said, "Nothing." And he came right up to me and took a drag off his cigarette, looked left and right, make sure nobody was really in earshot. He said, "I don't suppose you saw what I saw down at that second blast site." Well, I know nobody in my vehicle. There were just two other people, the driver and the alternate driver. I was in the back seat. I know nobody in my vehicle saw them, so I was really surprised to come to find out somebody else had seen them. And I said, "I don't know, Jeff, what did you see?" And he looked around one more time and he said, I saw 3 black, huge, hair-covered, and he paused and said, Bigfoot, I guess. And I said, yep, I saw them too. So,
I would.
and then go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Todd, I suppose that's not something you talk about openly. You know,
No.
with your other soldiers, so they probably think you're crazy.
Well, exactly, and that's the curse part too, is that when you see these things, you're mentally traumatized, emotionally as well. It's sometimes I've wanted to start a Bigfoot anonymous group, we can all get together and share stories. But here I was a non-commissioned officer in the Army, a vice president of a shipping company in Portland, and a family man, and I'd worked hard for my reputation, and I wasn't about to just throw it away. And it took me a long time to come around and like I say, I can see this as clearly as it was yesterday, and I had to ask myself, are you willing to tell the truth and risk your reputation, or are you willing to hide the truth because of your reputation? And considering the enormity of what I had seen, I chose the latter. And so I just want to add that being in the National Guard at that time, I ended up my career after 20 years in the active Army. But during that time, we, as traditional guardsmen, you'd meet once, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer. And this was April. So in May, I had split trained in Portland, where my normal base was down on the coast, and it was brought to my attention by an individual that there were 2 more soldiers that came forward admitting to have seen the same thing that Jeff and I had seen. So that's what kind of makes it, I think, a fairly unusual sighting, because multiple animal sightings are pretty rare. Multiple witnesses of multiple animal sightings are pretty rare, and I'm pretty sure multiple animals with multiple witnesses and explosives are really rare.
What's with the rock quarry connection? I mean, this is not the first sighting I've heard that has happened in either near or in a rock quarry. What do you think the connection is?
Rock quarries, much like rock screes or what we call talus fields in the forest, in the mountains, create a very specific habitat for rodents, and that is, being warm-blooded animals. When you've got a quarry or a talus pile that's exposed to the sun heats those rocks up during the day and holds that heat through most of the night, and it also provides sanctuary for these rodents, which are obviously potential fare for the big guys. So that's what many of us believe is that the squirrels, golden mantled ground squirrels, in the case of the 1967 sighting, name escapes me, but I'll circle back to that.
Oh, the Patterson-Gimlin film? Wasn't that in 67? Oh, no.
No, this was a sighting where a creature was seen sniffing rocks.
Oh, okay.
And setting them down, and then picking another one up, sniffing the rock, smelling, looking for maybe hibernating rodents under those rocks.
God, that's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah.
Well, in that particular case, and again, I'll figure out the name here. It's just on the tip of my tongue. But in that case, it was a logger just south of Mount Hood that had showed up on a work site before anybody else, and turned off his truck and was having a cigarette waiting for the rest of the crew to come up, and he heard these boulders clacking together. And he hiked I'd say about 100 yards from where he parked at to where this talus pile. Again, a talus pile is just an unusual field of boulders in the middle of the forest. No trees growing out of them. Just you see them here and there. And he got up onto the edge of the forest where it met the talus pile, and he saw three of these creatures sniffing, like you said, and then lifting 200 to 300 pound boulders.
Jeez.
Out of the ground, and then stopping and sniffing some more. Well, the place is still there. You can go there to this day. It's called the Thomas site. Been there several times. And the boulders are still there. And the pit that this thing dug down, all the way down to the dirt, which was about 8 feet down, is still there. And there's no indication of heavy equipment, track hose or anything, because they would scar the rocks getting up to that or anything. These were just literally lifted up, set up, sniffed, dig some more until they got down. Well, this particular time of year, these golden mantle ground squirrels are known to hibernate. And so they're very easy prey, because as he watched this big one that dug the pit, it lifted these things out and handed them up to the other two. They were limp as a rag doll, and they consumed them on the spot. And so it's Glenn Thomas. Glenn Thomas is the name. In fact, I want to say John's Green, one of John Green's books, he went up there, and there's photographs of this pit, and again, it's still there.
Yeah, I think Henner Fehrenbach was the investigator.
Well, he might have gone up there with them. I've known Henner for many years, although I don't think he's Bigfooting anymore. But I think he's down to Arizona.
Jeez, lifting those boulders like they're nothing.
Yeah, you hear these stories of super strength. You know, he's talking 800-pound boulders, and yep.
Yeah, right.
And my wife and I, when I took her up there to see them, we actually found a second pit just a little bit south of the first one. And it may have been more recent because it was pretty easily to find. But again, dug right, big boulders dug right. I mean, we're talking boulders 3 feet around, dug, pulled out of the ground all the way down to the dirt.
Oof. That's a big animal. That's a strong animal can do that. That's got to be 400-pound boulder, if not more.
Yeah. So you're thinking, Todd, that these creatures were down in that quarry, waiting maybe for you guys to even leave, and just to literally start hunting ground squirrels?
Are you talking about
your encounter?
No, let me back it up a little bit. So keep in mind, we were down at that second blast site maybe an hour prior doing that minefield lane breach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what in retrospect is interesting to me is while we were down there, we had 2 squads and 2 what we call ring mains, which is a continuous loop of what we call det cord, which burns incredibly hot and extremely fast, something like 14,000 feet a second.
Oh,
and
that's very fast.
That's what we used. We use that to set off explosives that we want time to go off at the exact same time. So, we had 2 loops that were probably, 50 feet in diameter, and we would clip in with these special clips. We'd clip in about whatever length strand we needed to reach these mock mines. We had mines that were training mines, so obviously they didn't have explosives in them. But it was while we were doing this, I was a squad leader. There was another squad leader in his squad over there, and I distinctly remember this. And again, keep in mind, it's before I saw what I saw. When we do this, we do it under tactical conditions, which means we have light discipline, noise discipline, and litter discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So, meaning, yeah, the latter being you don't want to leave anything behind that that they can use for intelligence. So we're supposed to be quiet, right? And
yeah.
I heard what I thought was somebody go, whoop! And I immediately looked up and I looked around. I was going to choose somebody's, what?
Yeah.
For breaking the, noise discipline. But as I looked around, everybody was bent over their explosives, placing them where they need to be. And I just shook it off and went about my way. Now, again, in hindsight, I think these things were watching us. I think they were there at the second site while we were at the second site. I just think they were back into the tree line a little bit. And I don't talk about that a whole lot, but it was something later that I went, that makes sense,
Yeah.
And so what I think happened is once we lit the fuses at the second site and left there, they were still in the vicinity when that explosion went off. And so an hour later, where you would think any other animal, deer, elk, bear, cougar, you name it, would be going, 180 degrees the opposite direction, these things, for whatever reason, chose to come back and investigate. And that's when I spotted them. Was while they were literally right there. At the actual quarry was kind of a 2-level quarry with a road that connected them. But they were down on that first level where we had just detonated this stuff, like I say, an hour ago.
In your career, though, excuse me, Todd, I was just going to ask, in your career, after you'd seen what you'd seen, any other reports during military operations like yours that people have reported, soldiers have reported seeing Bigfoot? I mean, is it kind of they must be very curious creatures.
Well, that's what I was getting to. I think what sets these beings apart from other animals, like I say, that would be going completely the opposite direction of, we're talking about 1,500, 2,000 foot mushroom cloud. What does it take for one of these things to be able to set aside what naturally would say, this is bad juju, get the heck out of here? And my answer is intelligence. Curiosity. To me, curiosity that's able to overwhelm fear tells me intelligence. And that's what I think.
Whatever you're funny, Peacock's got it exclusively. Stream classic sitcoms like The Office, Parks and Recreation, and 2.5 Men. Plus, catch Peacock original comedies like AP Bio and Saved by the Bell. For all your exclusive comedy faves, go to peacocktv.com and get started.
Are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP loan. You may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. The program ends soon and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply. That's WOMPLY.com/apply.
To place that thing. But getting back to your, military operations and running into these things, it happens more than you think. Around Fort Lewis, or what's now called Joint Base Lewis McChord, near Seattle. This base goes from I-5 up to the flanks of Mount Rainier. It's a huge base, and there have been numerous encounters, especially at night, of course, and but of groups that were doing battle training out there. There's even stories going back to Vietnam where there's a similar creature that the locals just call rock apes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, and then I think of another one. I want to say it was in Afghanistan or Pakistan, another giant creature that was engaged by the military. So,
I find it odd, Todd and Joel, that I've been asked to go speak at military bases. And you wonder, why would they want you to come to a military base to speak and ask, answer questions about Bigfoot? And the only thing I can come up with is certain people have seen these things and they're just all curious, on the base.
Or they love Doug Hajicek.
No.
Yeah, or that.
No.
No, I mean, I can tell you of a lot of different venues that I've been to on bases, and especially Iraq of all places, where they bring in speakers or they bring in musical venues or whatnot, inspirational speakers, that kind of thing. But, there might be something a little more to that in the background, because there's actually an Army Corps of Engineer, I don't know if you've seen this, but an Army Corps of Engineers evasion map that they use in training for evasion in, of all places, Washington State. And there's drawings and listings of different types of plants and animals that you can run into in different places.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, they actually have a Bigfoot listed on there.
Really? In the flora and the fauna.
Yep. The Army Corps of Engineers. Yeah, it's really amazing.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, then that means the government's definitely aware of these things.
I'm not a big conspiratorialist person. In fact, I'm not really one at all. And I've struggled with that concept of there being a conspiracy by the government to, put the lid on this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think they know they exist? Yeah. Is it a top priority for them? No. Frankly, I think it should be, but, we've got bigger fish to fry. If they're out there, they're out there, and they're just, there's going to be a time, and Doug and I have talked about this, it's inevitable that someday a body will be found, a carcass, who knows. But there again, nature's an amazing recycler and capable of disappearing anything or anybody in pretty short order.
Yeah,
that's true.
Window was short. I took a deer carcass once and cabled it down and put a time-lapse camera on it to see how quick the whole carcass would be, gone, including the bones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was literally in just a matter of maybe a week and a half, everything was gone.
Wow, no sign hardly at all that was even
the
there.
The bones were dragged off, usually by rodents for the calcium content. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that because people ask me from time to time, they're real. Where's the bones? Where's the bodies and stuff like that. In kind of a similar case, although I didn't have a time-lapse camera, this going back a few years, that I was in the Saddle Mountain area, which is the same area, in fact, where I had the sighting. I was hunting elk, and I harvested an elk, but there was a window of a break in the weather, if you will, because at that time I only had a two-wheel drive truck, and it started to snow, and I knew I would have to go up in elevation to get out of where I was at, and I was very concerned about getting, trapped in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of doing a traditional field dressing of this elk, I pretty much did a hasty butchering job on it, taking the rumps, the shoulder, the back strap, and left considerable amount of the carcass there. I came back 3 weeks later. The snow had melted, and I was kind of curious. Went back to the exact same spot, and I know it was the same spot because I tied a piece of engineer tape where that was at on a tree, and I'm telling you, it's probably 400 pounds of bone and meat still there.
Mm-hmm.
And no, when I left, but when I got back 3 weeks later, the only indication that there was ever a dead animal there was a patch of hide that was maybe 1 foot square, if you will, that got stuck on the brambles of a salmonberry bush, the thorns. Other than that, I mean, I looked all around there for like 100 feet in all directions. There was not a bone, not a rib, nothing, no hair, except that one little patch got stuck in the thicker bushes.
Well, I know exactly what you mean because I'm a hunter and I've never come across like a bear carcass or a moose carcass. Nothing. I know they're there. I know they're in the woods, but I've never come across just a carcass laying there. Once in a while I'll find deer shed or I'll find a moose shed in the past, but never a body. Never a body.
So I've got a question for you, Todd. I don't think we've ever talked about this. Excuse me. We've come across deer carcasses where the hair is plucked out, literally plucked out, just clumps at a time, all of it. And that's all you see is this huge pile of deer hair. And it's as if something just sat there and just kind of like out of boredom plucked all the hair out. We've seen this numerous times. Is that something you've ever come across?
I've come across that here in Oregon and Montana, actually, in the Yellowstone. My take on that, where you'll see a pile of the hair, is whatever predator is working on that, they don't want a mouthful of hair, and so it's like plucking a chicken. At the same time, you don't want to eat the feathers, but part of the process is ripping that hair out of the hide so that you can get right to the main menu.
So you're thinking that's natural, just a regular predator?
Yeah, no, because I've seen it too many times.
Well, there was one carcass we found.
Sometimes that's the only thing you'll see. Is just a pile of hair.
Yeah, that's what we found. But we found one carcass where it was just bare skin and there was a big pile of hair in a pile. But yet the skin was clean and there were no bite marks.
No, that's unusual.
Yeah.
That is unusual.
Yeah, we've got photos of it. It's you just kind of wonder, like, really, would a wolf do that? Would a coyote do that? I don't think so.
Something scared it off.
It looks like something with hands pulled this fur out. And
have you ran into that more than once, Doug?
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
Or is that just anecdotal? Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Do the Bigfoot then, Doug? Well, I got a question for both you, Todd and Doug. Do Bigfoot, do they actively like hunt deer, like grab them and kill them? I mean,
certainly,
is that the thought?
Absolutely.
A lot of evidence to it.
Absolutely.
How about this, Joel? You get a call from like a game warden, or you're talking to one, and they go, "Yeah, we've got this island on this lake that we went to because it was frozen over. We'd never walked over there, and we found 20 deer with their legs twisted off on the back."
Wow.
And you're like,
that?
Yeah, it's Bigfoot activity. It's got to be.
Yeah. There's no other animal that I'm aware of. Are you talking in our area, or were you?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, yeah. So there's no animals that hunt like that in Minnesota.
What a great way to keep an animal in the fridge is to just break its legs, make it immobile, and it stays alive.
Yeah.
So you just immobilized it.
Yeah, and then for meat storage, so to speak.
Yeah, basically keeping that. It's like putting a fish on a stringer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, someone with a high intelligence would know how to do that. Would know how to store their meat.
Yeah.
Rather than kill by kill basis.
Have you found any weird kills though, Todd, that you were yourself with broken legs or just something odd?
Well, not personally. I mean, I've seen a lot of evidence from others that show, everything from decapitation to literally delimbing an animal, which, over time, the creature's going to die, obviously. But it's an interesting point you make, and of course I think it would depend a little bit upon the season, but under certain circumstances, yeah. We know bears and cougar will drag their catches into a tree or into a cave or somewhere in hopes of, being able to return
right.
time and time again to access it. But to have one just crippled, knowing that it's going to stay alive. But then again, you're going to have things like infection and blood loss and things like that come into play. But I honestly don't think something like that is going to last long term. But you consider the caloric intake of these creatures. Henner once told me, Dr. Henner Fehrenbach told me once that he had done some calculations extrapolating from gorillas in Africa as to what the caloric needs are for a creature the size of a 600-pound gorilla, and what he told me, just kind of scaling it up, if you will, was that these things need approximately 6,000 calories a day at a minimum to sustain themselves, which tells me that, probably from about the time these things wake up to the time they take a dirt bath, that they are constantly foraging, whether it be for carnivorously or I totally believe they're omnivorous, but there's a lot of options. Of course, in the summer, much more, but in the winter, I think they turn more to a carnivorous diet with the fish, and the fish runs are very almost scheduled. At least here in the Pacific Northwest, they know when to be down there. They know when certain things are in fruition or available, but no, when it comes to hunting, though, there have been a number of encounters where hunters claim to have literally, had their sights on a deer, had something scream to chase the deer and literally catch up with the deer, and them having their sights on the creature itself and not being able to pull the trigger. And I know that sounds very convenient, but caliber meant for a deer might not be big enough to sufficiently take care of one of these creatures.
You might need something the 45-70 flavor before it will probably drop it. You need a buffalo rifle.
Right.
I'm assuming.
Exactly.
To take something that large.
Exactly.
Your 30-30 isn't going to do anything.
And another question I think that has yet to be answered, but I think it's a possibility, is that they, so if they're carnivorous, do they hunt singularly? Or do they possibly work in tandem with each other, having maybe one or two drivers and 4 or 5 catchers? You know what I mean?
Do you think, and I could be wrong here, but maybe when food is plentiful, there's not so much of that teamwork going on. But when food becomes scarce, like in the wintertime, that may be when you see more teamwork going on, more team kills, because the team, you need to because they're definitely watching their expenditure of calories, right? They want to do the least amount of work to get the maximum amount of calories. Right. And it would make sense that
teamwork would do that.
Yeah, during the lean times, they'd almost have to work together to achieve the 6,000 calorie mark.
No, that's a good point. Damn, you guys are making me think. But that's what we're all about.
Mm-hmm.
Just nobody's got it right yet, but there's a lot of plausibilities out there that we need to investigate.
So, what is the best case, Todd, that you've ever investigated that just really kind of blew your mind?
Well, up until this last October, and Doug knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
As far as okay, so I look at investigations as a little bit different than raw expeditions. In other words, going somewhere, generally long term, bringing all your equipment, toys with you, versus doing an investigation. Investigation-wise, would have been 2000. I want to say, and I could be wrong, but let's say it's the summer of 2000. I'm sure you probably know who Joe Beelard is, but he's a friend of mine who lives here locally, and I had gotten a call. Actually, I got a page, so that's going to tell you how long ago it was. I got a page from a friend of mine that said, call me. I called, and they said, we were down here at Detroit Lake, just east of Salem, the capital of Oregon, on this fishing dock. Sun had just set, and me and my girlfriend, which they were both, ladies, heard something that we couldn't explain. It was so loud that it echoed all the way across this very wide lake and then back. And there was one other fisherman to the west, about 200 yards, just fishing on a beach. The girls are out on the dock. And they heard that, and they reeled it as fast as they could, grabbed their tackle box, ran off of this fairly long dock to get back to shore and then back to camp. And by the time they got to the end of the dock, here comes this, where it meets the trail, here comes this guy running for all his life. They just fell in behind him, didn't say a word till they got back to camp, said rhetorically, did you hear what we heard? The guy said, hear it, that son of a bee was right behind me. And so they were going to leave that night. I convinced them to stay. I picked up Joe Beelart. So we were on the scene within about 13 hours, which it's pretty quick. I mean, normally most stuff you hear is, well, when I was 12, kind of stuff. But we got right on it. So the girls took us on a tour of where they were and all this stuff. There's kind of a looped trail, if you will. One that goes along the lake and one that comes in probably 100 feet or so from the lake. I took the ladder. Joe and the girls went along the lake, and I not only found a trail that this thing had plowed through these ferns. I followed that trail to a bed, which is not like your typical round or oval-shaped deer or elk bed, but a very, like 10 by 4 feet wide, almost squarish bed. And literally whatever was under it was just crushed to no return. I mean, it was like you filled a coffin or whatever with cement, lowered it down there, and left it there for a week. It just, everything, I don't think ever recovered. But when I was on that spot, I I'm now like halfway between the inside trail and the lake trail. Saw Joe and the other gals there, and I said, hey, I got something. And they said, well, we got something too, which was the fishing rod holder of the fisherman that was there, who in haste left it behind. And then it just all kind of came together. I also found a scat, very fresh scat, just the other side of this trail that crossed the main trail. And I actually had Dr. Henry Fehrenbach analyze it. And I have a report somewhere in all my batch files, about a 4-page report that Henry gave back to me. And he had taken it to the Oregon Regional Primate Center, where he had been working at that time, and investigated it under electron microscope. And he said he was able to identify 2 things. DNA was not really a big factor back then. It was fairly new, and it was extremely expensive. The 2 things he said I can tell you. I can tell you the diet, because I can separate that from other organic material, and I can tell you the parasites. Now, one thing that a lot of us don't like to talk about is parasites are in almost every living thing, including ourselves. But the parasites that will slough off in a scat for, say, a cow are going to be different from a dog, or going to be different from a cat or a human. And so talking way over my head, he gave me this report, and he said that he was able to identify 6 different parasites, either living or dead, or the egg casings themselves. I mean, that's how strong a microscopy can be. But in identifying all he could come back with, because you got to understand, we don't have an index. We don't have a type specimen that we can say this belongs to that. At best, we can come up with this doesn't belong to anything. But he said it was very indicative of a Pacific Northwest omnivore. Now, when it comes to the diet, it was, interestingly enough, watercress, almost 100%. Other than, he said, a few water beetles, or what we call boatswain beetles. So if you walk to the edge of the lake about 50, 60 feet from where I found this bed, the entire lakeside to about 5 or 6 feet out is nothing but watercress. It grows underwater. Sometimes the leaves will reach the surface, but I mean, you can buy watercress in some stores just for salad. I mean, it's very edible. It's very good for you. It's rich in iron and protein. Anyway, he said like 99% of the diet was watercress. So in putting that whole investigation together, I'm like, okay, creature miles down on the watercress alongside the lakeshore, goes back into the 4-foot-high ferns, goes to sleep, daylight comes, people come and go, fishermen are out there, it's, out. And right after sunset, it wakes up, sees a fisherman there, freaks out, lets off this scream, which the girls had heard, plus obviously the other guy had, runs the opposite direction, runs up over the access road to the campground and up the hill. Well, and then in the process has this very runny, I'll leave it at that, scat, just the other side of the trail that I was following, which I collected, and I told you that. But the next day, we were about to leave, and I was riding with Joe, and he said, I said, Joe, can you just take a right here? Because I know where that thing went up across the road. It's not very far. Just humor me. So he took me over there. I got out, and I found a game trail, very well-used and recently used game trail that went straight up the hill on the other side of the road. Followed that, got up to a fairly new road that was punched in with a bulldozer. But you know, as a bulldozer goes in on a grade, one side slopes down, the other goes up.
Yeah.
I spotted, on my way back down, I spotted these impressions, and they were heavy enough to literally crack the soil.
Wow.
Toward the downside. And so I worked my way up to where they were, and I counted 12 tracks that came off that newly punched in cat road and arced, if you will, up along the cut, and then back down to the road. And there were about 12 of them, and I filmed them. And they, whatever step there, I don't think we have elephants up here, but I mean, what
I was just about to ask, judging by the footprint, how big and how tall do you think?
I'm not a anthropologist or anything. I can't tell you that 12 inches or 15 or 18 inches equals X amount of height, and of course it differs between animals. I'm just saying whatever step there had to have been well over 600 pounds, because, I mean, it cratered. So on the uphill side, because it was like side hilling, if you will. So on the uphill side, it would kind of slice off down into the rough ground. But on the downhill side, it was literally cracking the soil. So it was kind of like semi-moist, muddish kind of thing, but it literally was splitting the ground. Excuse me. But so when you ask me what's my most successful investigation, I keep going back to 2000 because we had witnesses. We got on there within hours. We had a bed. We had a trail that came out of the bed. We had the scat, and then we found the tracks. I mean, we found everything but the animal itself. Anyway, I'll let you guys chat. I'll just carry it on.
What do you think the best evidence? I mean, everybody has their own opinion for the existence of these creatures. What is Todd's opinion?
I knew you were going to go there. That's kind of a loaded question.
Yeah.
We can talk about that offline, but...
no, I'm talking about the last, 10 years. What is the best evidence that we have?
Well, I mean, I can...
Is it the Patterson film? Is it Skookum Cast?
Well, obviously that was more than 10 years ago, but I can, like some people say, circle around and go back to that because it's kind of a standby.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our Roswell for Bigfoot.
Well, it is. It is. And I'll say this. I know Bob. I've met Bob on numerous occasions. We exchanged Christmas cards. He's just a great, amazing person. And I know him well enough to tell you that you couldn't pay Bob enough money to lie. And I actually asked him one time, I said, with all, due respect, is there any chance you could have been hoaxed? And his response to me was, he said, well, Todd, here's the thing. Roger and I'd get up every morning and would put on the coffee. And then it wasn't until after we poured the coffee that we spread out our map on our table. And that's when we decided where we were going to go that day. It was a day-to-day operation. And he said, so for somebody to hoax us doesn't make sense because they'd have to know where we were going. And I totally believe that. I totally believe that. And I believe Bob. I mean, keep in mind.
Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy killed 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series, John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now, only on Peacock. Whatever you're funny, Peacock's got it exclusively. Stream classic sitcoms like The Office, Parks and Recreation, and 2.5 Men. Plus, catch Peacock original comedies like AP Bio and Saved by the Bell. For all your exclusive comedy faves, go to peacocktv.com and get started.
Roger was a little bit more of a showman than, a lot more of a showman than Bob was. Bob just wanted to go back to cowboying, because that's what he did for a living. Once they got done with that trip down to Bluff Creek, even after what he had seen, and being part Native American, he just said, "So what? Back to my moneymaker."
Yeah.
And it was Roger that took the show on the road, and Bob just said, "Have fun. I'm out." And Bob didn't talk. Bob didn't talk for, 25 years almost. When Bob, especially with Roger unfortunately exiting the stage in 1972 with cancer, that opened up an opportunity for Bob to just step right on in and
he didn't
be the ringleader.
He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't. I remember when Bob. I mean, I knew about him. I didn't know him at the time, but I remember I met him in 2002, I want to say, down at when they dedicated the Bob Titmus wing to the museum down there in Willow Creek. I had donated to that, and I'd gone down, and that's where I first met Bob. And I tell you what, if the encyclopedia had the word genuine and or gentleman next to a picture, it would be Bob.
Yeah.
He wanted nothing to do with it, and he reluctantly got dragged back into it.
The devil's advocate would say it was a one shot, maybe it was a dying breed, maybe there's no more out there. I've heard that several times in the past. People, because I'm a firm believer in Bigfoot, and when I bring it up, and especially the Patterson-Gimlin film is just an example of proof. This second thing they say is, well, where are they now? I guess it's bringing me to the question for you. What's it going to take, do you believe, that we have to do to produce either photos or a body or what have you? Do we need to go deeper in the woods as researchers? Do we need to spend time more in the woods? Well, what's your opinion? What do you think will bring better evidence and more of it to bear?
Well, that's a mouthful. I mean, honestly, a couple questions embedded in there, but I'll say this. Yes, we need to go deeper. We need to go, and what it really takes is an examination of, number one, the metrics that, the data that's coming out with regards to, we're getting better and better at these databases: time, moon phase, altitude, temperature, yada, yada, yada. All the things that you would attach to any species.
Mm-hmm.
And then looking at access, because, Diane and I, my wife and I, bought a snowmobile 2 years ago, specifically, but we had never owned one, but specifically because we had some associates that had a Bigfoot encounter, or so they thought, while snowmobile. Now, a lot of people tell you, when they start getting into stats, they're going, well, there's more sightings during the summer than the winter, therefore they must hibernate. No, here's the deal. there are more sightings during the summer because humans hibernate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Unless you're willing to snowshoe, cross-country ski, or snowmobile, it's just natural that sightings are going to drop in the winter, right?
Mm-hmm.
But be that as it may, we've got a snowmobile, and we do go out in the winter, and we see things we will never see any other time of year because you just don't have the access.
Yeah.
But we've got to get off this statistical database without considering the human database, without considering human incursions and where we we are and are willing to access just out of convenience or comfort, I think
you would think, Todd, that
go ahead.
You would think one scientist, just one, would say, hey, we're going to take all these sightings and we're going to work on a GIS map of seasonal data for the entire country. Like I've done one state, Colorado, and of course it shows seasonal movement. Doesn't show mass migration, but it does show all the sightings are in the lower elevations in the winter, and all the sightings, or most of them, are in the higher elevations in the summer. I mean, that's not spurious data, but you just wonder why has nobody taken the bull by the horns and just said, this thing is not going away, but it just keeps.
And those statistics aren't really rocket science, because when you look at any animal, when it comes simply to hydration, right?
Yeah.
Anything below 32 degrees is going to freeze, and maybe down to 30 or 25 you can break through that ice and still access that hydration, but at a certain point they're going to have to move lower in order to access water. I mean, it's not a like I say, it's not a brainstorm, rocket science to come up with that. So it just seems to me that we're basing a lot of our investigative capabilities on whether or not they are no, this is where I agree with you. Hitter told me that it would take, based on caloric intake and based on the available resources for food, that on the average, a Bigfoot needing 2,000 calories per day, excuse me, not 2,000, 6,000 per day, would need, and this is a single Bigfoot, would need about 60 square miles.
Yeah.
So that's what, 6 by 10, 30 by 20?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Based on the terrain. Okay. So, and that's probably in the best of cases, because you can't compare summer resources, say, with winter resources. So, anyway.
But so I could see them definitely being migratory. Leaving areas, with the seasons. Man did it for years.
He just brought up a very new point. Very new, because it's so. When you hear it, it sounds so simple. But you mentioned hydration. It's 20 below up in northern Minnesota, in Canada, all through Canada. It's cold. Everything's frozen. Do you think these things are having to eat snow? And can you even? I've heard you cannot survive eating snow for hydration, because it'll suck away your calories, your heat index. Your temp will drop. So
you can melt it, but you can't eat it.
So there is no running water. When it gets 20 below, boy, it's going to be maybe near a river, a really big river.
See, I've heard about, like in our area, Doug, more sightings by the Mississippi River this time of year.
Yeah.
Than up north, or even by Lake Superior, where it doesn't freeze. It's kind of like an ocean, so not all of it freezes. So I've heard of that increase by large bodies of water and rivers. So that makes sense.
Yeah, but nobody is studying that. Like Todd was the way the direction was going.
Yeah, but no one's ever taken a moment and said, "Well, wait a minute, let's."
No, everybody's trying to get a picture. Nobody's trying to get the data that we already have the data.
The picture
to organize.
changes, and that's the thing. The picture changes.
But don't we need an animal to gather data?
We have anecdotal evidence
ideally,
in buckets.
You know, we know we know deer migrate because we can follow the herd. We know bears do what they do because we follow the bears. It's awfully hard to get a clear picture without an animal.
You're wrong, Joel. We have the data. We just haven't put it in. We haven't organized it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's so much data. We have 30 years of data. We have not organized it yet.
Hey, Doug, can I direct you to one source that I think has done what you're suggesting, and I think that they should be applauded for it, and taking into a lot of different seasonal contingencies. And that's an outfit called Squatch Metrics. I don't know if you've ran across them.
I have not heard of them. No.
So they are kind of they're associated with the Olympic Project, which our organization is as well, and they have been collecting data in more depth than I've ever seen. And I'm not just talking moon phases. I'm talking, I mean, they'll take into account not just seasonal resources, but temperatures, elevation, human activity, everything. I mean, look up Squatch Metrics, because I have a lot of faith in them, and they are literally saving me many hours of research because of their work. And can I tell you a second one when it comes to tribal stuff? And I know that's kind of a jump, but I really want to promote this guy because he saved me years of Native American research, and that's a guy by the name of Leon Feller. I don't even know where this kid came out from or of, but he just got a hold of me. He said he'd been doing Native American research, as had I, but not on the scale that he's done. I think I got the book upstairs, so I won't bother you to go there. But Leon Feller, and I want to say his last name is PHLLER, whatever. It's a great book. I'm telling you, the thing goes across the United States and deals with every Native American tribe across the United States, and I think some that go into Canada, about all of their history. I've probably done 5% of Native American research compared to what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But I met with him. He wanted Peter Byrne to and myself to review his book and give him some sort of a critique, and I was blown away. The work this guy's done is just amazing.
Oh, what type of revelations has he come up with?
Oh my God. Well, that almost every tribe across North America, including Canada, has their own versions. And what he did, which I think is cool, because in the margins, he's got like a 2-inch margin on either side of his book, which is about 11 by 14, soft cover.
Mm-hmm. I have a copy of his book on my bookshelf. Yeah, we had him as a guest.
Good. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
But
Yep.
oh, good, because Leon is amazing. But in the margins, he's got the names of each tribe, alphabetical, and then you go, you shift over and just read anything and everything about these different tribes' interpretations, and it's amazing. It's like I say, he saved me at least 5 years of work. By the way,
that's interesting.
I have an initiative that I'm working on right now, let me just put it this way. There have been a number of individuals, I count them on one hand, but that have tried to get protections for the big.
Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy is suspected of having killed as many as 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series that investigates the crimes that shocked the nation.
The thing everybody thought they knew wasn't the whole story.
John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now. Devil in Disguise. Only on Peacock.
What the Sasquatch, the people, whatever.
I know in Oklahoma they just
they've
tried to
always
get season.
gone. Right, and so they've always gone through, Fish and Wildlife, which is a product of the Department of the Interior, and always got shot down. So, I, years ago, switched a lot of my research to Native American accounts and records and whatnot, history. And I've come up with a draft proposal that can be tweaked, to fit whatever tribe, whatever reservation, that, because they have their own autonomy on the reservations, it comes to terms of Fish and Wildlife, for instance, that whatever laws they want to put in force have to be obeyed not only by their tribal members but by non-tribal members. And so I put together I went back to Omaha and did some research. What they call the Bigfoot or Sasquatch, they call it Tatanka. Mm-hmm. And so I put together the first ever indigenous, how did I worded it, the Omaha Nation Tatanka Protection Act. And it was just a draft because I know it can't come from me, to be honest with you. It needs to come from a tribal member, and I have some friends in that tribe. But I want them to take that and, move it up, present it to the council. Like I say, they have their own autonomy. I'm hoping that when we get, and I'm working with 5 different tribes, but when we get, say, 4 or 5 tribes on board, that it's going to spread like wildfire, because they're going to go, hey, this not only protects these creatures, whatever you want to call them, via our tribal traditions, but it's going to protect our way of life and our culture, mm-hmm. with regards to the non-native interpretation of our culture. Mm-hmm. And by putting teeth into an ordinance that will keep anybody without tribal permission from even studying them, let alone killing them. As you probably know, in Oklahoma, there was a congressman that put forth just last 2 weeks, put forward an ordinance to have a hunting season for Bigfoot. Yeah, so now, we're not, no. Hell with that. I'm trying to add that kind of impetus to my argument with these tribes that, look, there are people out there that really have no problem killing these things, but with your influence, your tribal influence, your autonomous laws within the tribal community, you can shut them down. Yeah, so anyway, that's one of the projects I've been working on.
Todd, in all your research and everything that you've come across in Bigfoot and you know all the years you put into it, how many would you say are around? What's the breeding population like in the lower 48?
Well, I, not being a biologist, but kind of, I'll lean a little bit back to Dr. Fehrenbach. We have a known or fairly consistent estimate of bear populations. North American black bear, of about 4,000 to 5,000, and then when it comes to cougar, it's a little more closer to 6,000, and that's just by Fish and Wildlife surveys, but that's kind of what they're coming up with, and that's just in Oregon, mind you. Henner says between 2, and I think there's more, but 2 habitats. That's being the Coast Range, which Pacific Coast Range, which ranges from Cape Mendocino, California, into the Olympic National Forest, Olympic National Park, and then the Cascade Range, which starts south at Mount Lassen and literally stretches into British Columbia, a footprint larger than the Himalayan mountains. He estimates about, the last I talked to him, about 2,000. And I'm thinking 2,000 of anything spread out over 65 million square miles ain't jack. It's not jack. And so I would defer to Dr. Fehrenbach on that, because there's, and honestly, there's nobody going out there taking inventory.
No,
so,
no,
but
there
I
isn't.
I don't find I don't see his findings as being way off the mark.
So
interesting.
So in all of North America, Todd, what are you thinking? The entire.
I don't know.
All of North America.
I don't know.
Throw a crate.
I'm shooting in the dark. But I will say this: when I ran into people, and I'm in either the Cascades or the Coast Range, they go, "How many are there?" I'll say, "Okay, 2,000." They'll say, "Oh, impossible," and I'll go, "Okay." Considering the Coast Range, Cascades Range equals 65,000 square miles. Let's just take a look at this hill to the south of us or to the north of us. Now, it's what, 1 mile to 2 miles wide? I'm going to take, just for comparison, try to keep it, up and up. I'm going to take 2,000 copper BBs. These are the same BBs you shoot through your, Daisy or Crossman. They're little copper 1.77 millimeter or inch caliber, whatever. Okay, I'm going to take 2,000 of those, and I'm going to stay within that 1 mile stretch on the mountain you're looking at right now. To your left, to your right, there's a saddle, and I'm going to take, you're going to give me a day, maybe 2. I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to place these little copper BBs. And I promise you, I'll stay within the bounds of what we've already agreed upon. 1 mile and 2,000 of something. So again, to keep it in perspective, we're going to use these BBs. Now, after 2 days of allowing me to place those copper BBs up there, I'll give you a week to bring one out. And they're like, well, we could probably do that. And I said, okay. Now, I'm not talking being able to use a metal detector or anything. And here's another caveat. I'm going to paint these shiny copper BBs brown and black and green before I place them out there. And now, what do you think the odds you come out with one? Well, that's going to make it a whole lot harder. And then I would say there's a third caveat, and that is these 1.77 caliber black, brown, and green BBs can see you, can hear you, can smell you,
and run away.
Can move.
Yep.
They can move. Now, how many do you think you'd find? And every one of them shut their mouth. They go, oh, didn't think of that.
That's
that's the way it is.
Analogy. Yep.
Yeah.
You know, humans are one of the smelliest animals in the wilderness. You understand that? We reek, to be honest with you, compared to the other animals out there. And trust me, I know bears smell like hell, all this stuff, but bears are natural. These smells of deer, elk, bear, cougar, raccoon, fox, whatever you want to say, coyote, those smells become innate in most animals' olfactory databanks. Humans? Holy crap.
Yeah.
I don't care how much Axe, cologne you put on, you stink. In their mind, right?
Yeah,
you know
right. Yeah.
In their mind, you stand out like a red flag, and they know you're coming long before you get there. They hear you coming long before you get there, and they're gone.
So the odds of capturing one are pretty slim, is what you're saying. Very, very slim.
Well, I would say capturing a live one is, and I've even thought upon those lines, a pit trap, a net trap, It's just, I've used, I thought about tranquilizers, but there's a lot of ambiguity as to the dosage and the creature. In fact, in 1998, when I went out with Peter Byrne and Ron Moorhead on the south side of Saddle Mountain, I was able to procure and you're probably familiar with these, biopsy dart gun.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's like a tranquilizer gun, but it's retrofitted with a special dart that is able to hit an animal and fall out, but in the same token, take a piece of, maybe a 1-inch core of flesh, and there you're done. I mean, you got your DNA. I've thought about all that stuff. I think our best bet's going to be on a carcass or bones or what have you, because these things they outthink us, they outrun us. We're in their backyard. They know all the avenues of egress. They got it. If they don't want to deal with us, you'll never see them.
That is true. Time is flying so quick. Todd, you got websites out there or ways people can get a hold of you to maybe tell you their sightings?
Well, thank you for asking. Yes, we have. I'm the founder and president of the American Primate Conservancy, and that address is americanprimate.org. We're constantly trying to update that. My email address is americanprimate@aol.com. Yeah, I'm still one of the last ones using AOL. And also, I put on an annual event called Beachfoot. Just want to put a shout out there. So you're going to find on Facebook, not just under my name, but under American Primate Conservancy, as well as Beachfoot, just to play on words. far as where we hold conference. But it's very unique in the fact that it's basically a retreat for researchers only, and we've had people come from New Zealand, Australia, Britain, all across Canada, United States, Russia, but it's just for researchers only. There's no spectators, there's no vendors or anything like that. And this year will be our 14th year we've done that. So thank you for that. But if you want to get a hold of me, again, American Primate at AOL.com will get to me. And we're always open to any sort of questions or reports that you might have. And I want to thank Doug and Joel for having me on board. It's just been
our pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
Todd Neiss, everybody. Yep, check it out. American Primates, the website. Check that out. Get a hold of Todd as well if you got your own story, or if you just want some questions answered, because I know there's a lot of questions out there. Again, look him up. It's Todd Neiss. And Todd, thanks a ton for coming on. This is Joel and Doug. We're signing off. Take care of each other, love each other. Keep looking for that Bigfoot. You just never know where he's hanging out.
Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy killed 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series, John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now, only on Peacock.
Are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP stimulus loan and proudly serves more than 600,000 small businesses across America. Millions of self-employed workers may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. So apply today. The program ends soon, and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply and see if you qualify for a PPP loan. Womply.com/apply. That's WOMPLY.com/apply.